2. So we have a quorum. Do we have to do a roll call? Yes?
Nope, you just have to say there's a quorum, you're
All
good.
right, so we have a quorum, we're good. The meeting is being recorded, so as we open the session, public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and your voice will be recorded per the open meeting law, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20E. So, thank you for that. And I guess that just was extended, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we were just speaking about that. We had to do this one in person, but our next one, we can go back to Zoom.
I actually think more people that are more inclined to go via Zoom. That's my personal opinion. So, we need to approve the minutes of March 18th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There were a few little things. Thanks for the updates.
Yeah, we noticed that you made some comments.
I apologize, I was just stating, so I was heading out to New York, and what I do sometimes is I'll send it to my other email, and I'll actually do it, and I forgot to send it back to this email, so I sent the last one, because I'll just save over it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank goodness you caught that, Wayne, because I had done them, but
Oh,
I just didn't send you the right thing.
Story of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So, yep, know how that happens.
DZ's having problems like that, too. We're all in good company.
We're all in good
We're
company.
using too many emails.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
copying something and writing over it. It's
Yeah.
always the death of death. 'Cause you
Well,
don't-
I
you
hadn't
don't-
done that yet. That was what the problem was. I was still on my old one.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so no discussion on that. Okay, so we'll vote to confirm.
So you don't need to do roll call because you're in person. You can just say
No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
and 0. Okay.
All right, and we have invoice and payments. We have an item for a hearing notice for $48.50. Is there a motion?
I move that we pay this invoice for the hearing notice of $48.50.
Is that for the newspaper?
Yes.
Okay.
It was.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's a little discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have
So-
10 minutes to kill.
So, any member updates? All right.
Everybody's good. Okay. Then you could do. We can do admin updates.
Is there any movement to get a representative from the recreation?
So that is in Tim's updates for tonight. I know he was meeting with Kristen last week. Actually, we met on Thursday, and he was heading into there right after, and that was one of the lists that he was going to do. But I was just actually speaking with the gentleman that does our recording. He says that they've been up and running meetings, so he's been recording a lot of the rec. They meet in person, so he's been doing that. So
So
there's at least
that's a good
options.
sign.
Yeah, that's a really good sign.
Is
Yeah.
Tim joining us at 8 if he's available? or-
Tim should be joining us about 8.
So maybe he'll have
Yeah,
an
so
update
he'll
on
have that, yeah. The two things I think that Tim will probably need to address will be the budget. I wrote on your agenda, wait for Tim.
Yeah.
Only because I have not received any numbers from accounting on the categories.
Okay.
But for admin updates, I can just.
So what about a committee photo?
So I was going to do a committee photo because I thought I was going to have all of you folks here tonight, and that's not, and
It's not
Carol's
going
not
to
going to be
happen.
here. So we can maybe wait till we do get a rec member, and I just thought, you know what, I'd have you all in person. I thought it might work with, you could actually go into that to go with the Powder House article that I wrote up about all of you guys, but.
It's not so hard having a in-person meeting when the weather is nice and it stays light longer.
Yeah.
Having it in January is painful.
Except for your admin doesn't want to come out here in July.
Well, also in January, everything
I
is
can honestly
painful.
tell you, so I have an interesting option if we want to try, because we were just doing this at work, which is really kind of weird, but if each member takes like a full like body shot of themselves and just just like poses or whatever, like stands there
And puts it
and
together?
sends it to me, I can like take out the background of whatever you're at and make a.
This sounds terrible.
I love it.
I am
You're-
old and crotchety and will not stand for use of technology
Hey.
in this way.
Hey, it's
I would
fun.
consider it only if we replace it with a completely ridiculous background of something we would never all be out.
Exactly.
So like
A
if you put us all
tropical
over
island.
like the
Yeah.
Taj Mahal or something.
Yeah, that
Hey.
actually, that,
Yeah.
I can
that
do
You
it.
actually-
can get behind that.
I can-
yeah.
I can
We
get
could do a
behind-
road
yeah,
trip.
if we look ridiculous,
we
then
could
that's
do a
different.
road trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
they'll
could-
think
we could
that
stand on
we're
the-
spending
Yeah.
CPA funds.
Oh God,
for-
can you imagine, somebody will bring
Somebody
that
would
up in
think
town
somebody would
meeting.
think that's real.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
We go stand in the state to the
Mars
to the state
will be on
house.
Mars. Then they
So-
should hopefully know that we didn't actually
All
travel
right,
there.
I'm sorry I brought it up. So maybe whenever we have another. meeting.
Yeah, so I would say, I would hope maybe September, we might be able to do another in-person.
Unless we're all
Weather
at
will
town,
be kinda
unless
nice,
we're all
right?
at town
The
meeting.
weather's so really nice, yeah.
Yeah,
If we're all at town meeting, we can.
yeah, but I
figure
probably
that-
won't be there to get it for you guys, but if you
But
somebody
potentially
wants to
somebody
get it-
else might be able to.
To snap
Okay,
it.
that's fine.
Actually, we
Okay.
can,
We
we
can-
can,
It won't
I
be,
mean, I'll be
it
there.
won't be that much of a rush because I'll be sending in this, like, it won't be a part of this article is what I'm saying this time, but.
Yeah.
But it's on my to-do list, to say the
Yeah.
least.
All right.
And then the other admin update is that,
Email
Ellie
sent to-
and,
Oh, I saw that email.
MJ and Wayne, I have sent it to your appointing,
Yeah, I
Membership?
brought it up at my last meeting, but they couldn't be bothered to vote.
So June did send me though, she said
Yeah,
that
she
she's
put it
gonna
on
do
the
it
agenda.
on, she will do yours on,
Is it the 14th?
the 11th, I think she
11th?
said, yeah, I think it's the
It's
Well,
the
11th,
it's
you're in, but
It's-
it'll
it's-
be
it's
a
the second-
formality.
Friday.
right. And then, Kristen and Dee sent an email
I saw that.
saying that they will get it on one of,
It's on the next agenda, I think.
either the next or the next, usually sometimes that happens. I don't think anybody needs to appear in person.
Yeah.
So, you're welcome, I think, too, but just that they'll know,
Yep.
and then they'll send me the minutes, and then I'll have it
And thanks
for
for
the record.
emailing me that the ethics course is already automatically recorded and we don't have to do
Yeah,
anything. It's
Yeah.
all,
the
if you
state,
take the class, the
yeah,
state says you took it and.
yeah, the state
They
updated
notify.
their software,
Nice.
and, which then helps if you're working in two communities.
Oh,
You don't have to do it in two
do it again.
communities, it somehow knows and triggers
That's
that
good.
also, so I talked to
That's
James
great.
Wheeler about that. So those are the admin updates. Where are you at? See,
So we did the member updates, admin updates.
you could probably.
Anything going on with the housing, Beth? Have we
Well-
always seem to meet before you've met, but
Well, 'cause
we're on the first, so you.
we are on the, no,
so-
we did just meet, actually, I mean, and there actually has been stuff, and then we continue to, work on the Legion Hall property, in preparation for the request at town meeting to transfer that.
Yep.
Ellie was present at the
Oh, yeah,
historic,
we did
Commission
meet
meeting.
with, the
Um,
Habitat for Humanity's purpose, the Historical Commission did, to see if we could work out some ways to, require that they're happy with the footprint of the building, and they're happy to kind of keep it as it is, but we'd like to have something in the deed so that if it's sold in the future, that people will still be abiding by having the external
historical
structure
look.
look the same.
yeah, so we gotta figure out, we have deed restrictions to make sure it's affordable in perpetuity, but without it being a historic listed building, we need to figure out how to make sure
Sure.
future owners maintain that.
Yeah.
And I guess I have a question for you, actually. Why aren't any of our buildings historic listed? Is that a choice we've made?
There are
or-
some that are historic listed, but there isn't a historic district in the town.
So we do have well, in any case, so do we know, like, would this property be eligible
I don't
for
know.
being, because that would protect it,
Yeah,
right? But I didn't know if there was
Yeah,
anything
the
that if the
board
historic
house
commission-
is, and the meeting house is, I think that
Both of them are on
the
the
old
state
town
listed.
hall is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
individual properties can be, but
Yeah,
there's not.
but
a
we don't
We don't
have
have
a
an
historic
overlay.
district, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But that might be a way to protect
And even
it.
if we did, there's nothing in the west end of town that would fit that description except for possibly
But you don't
the
need to have a
school.
district, though, you can have just a
An
property, right,
individual, yeah.
So,
That
well,
might be a way to help us make
work.
sure it stays
Yeah.
that way and people don't,
so those
Mess with it later.
conversations will continue.
those conversations will continue.
How are you on that agreement?
There are some differences of opinion within the trust.
What the trust and the coalition
But
has,
part
yeah.
of it is the administrative piece of the fact that there was no paperwork last year on the monies that were received, kind of set us off in the wrong place. So I actually have some ideas about, once, on the assumption town meeting approves at least something, taking, those boilerplate letters we receive and putting some of that more contractual sort of language in there. You are required to do this. Not that it changes people's responsibilities, right? Because they all have to do the same thing, but have it all written out in one place together.
So that's the thing is, the housing trust is viewed differently from the coalition than the other projects.
Yes, but they still, I was looking at actually Concord.
Yes, that's where I always go to.
They have in their affordable housing trust.
Okay.
Is it the actually maybe their CPA. I have the link. I can send it to you. They actually have two different documents. One is that sort of lettery thing.
Yeah.
For internal, so within the town, organizations that are within the town, and then another one, like a proper MOU draft form that they use, that's used for when the money is like going to a contractor or somebody outside of the
So
town.
I do manage a GL accounts on invoices in that capacity.
What does that even mean?
So what that means is when, Bullet House is probably the best example
Okay,
of
yeah.
this. So what that means is anytime their committee approves an invoice for payment for work on the Bullet House, it then comes to me and I actually approve it, and then it goes down to the town administrator's office so that procurement can do it. So we are doing that with, so there's always a sign off. And then that's when at the end of every fiscal year, I know what's left in the buckets for each project, and then I zero that out with the
Right.
accountant's office.
Right. And so I think
But with you guys, I
the
won't,
housing
but I
trust
won't be
would
do
do
that.
that.
Right,
Would do
I
that
don't,
piece
that's
and have
why.
to account
Correct.
that. I think if we can, there is what Tim said, there's what the committee heard, there's a very wide range of things done in different towns.
Correct, yeah.
And so what do you think about, can we put in place a one agreement that potentially,
You know, it's really how all you people
Yeah.
do it. Like
As
what
opposed
I
to-
do is I just research from, what the coalition says.
Yeah.
That was a directive. He was like, and it's because that they won't, this board won't have anybody seeing those invoices, because once you guys receive that money,
Right.
you can do it.
Yeah.
And the coalition, because it sounds terrible, but people can be deceitful, but the coalition wants to make sure that things are really used for the purpose of housing, not paying for a director.
right, exactly,
Like,
Yeah, and I think then there's the
Right.
trust doesn't have
Yeah.
any issue at all in terms of, you do like that every 6 months
Yeah.
report thing,
Right.
Do you envision more reporting than that?
So you're right on the money, Beth, when you said everybody does it so differently, to the point where I don't even know how any community works without an admin. I really don't. I don't know how they do it,
It's a lot.
because there is that
With
accounting
craft,
aspect
perhaps.
thing. It's like, and it's easy because it's 5% of what's collected. I mean, the CPA, they make it they make it easy, but a lot of communities, they just don't bother doing that. So you're right that so many people do it differently. I think whatever you establish is what it should be. And this year, there really wouldn't be anything as far as
Well,
the
there's something,
agreement goes.
there won't, right,
Yeah,
but there's
So-
definitely, there is no interest in creating administrative overhead either
right.
for the different committees or for the select board. Like
Or the town accountant.
what some members of the trust are hearing is that every time CPAC were to disperse funds, transfer funds to the housing trust via, right, every year, for instance, because we will, probably every 2 years, we'll
Yeah.
come and ask, ask for the housing money, and if there's something special going on, maybe more. But having to do an agreement every single time,
Oh, I think that
Yeah,
makes perfect sense to have one every time, because it's going back to the bullet house again. I know what articles that
Yeah.
they have, so I know, like, last meeting, someone said how much is left in Article
well, right, but it doesn't,
23.
so that letter, I feel like that letter,
Covers
lays
that.
out, here's
Right,
here's your money, this is what you're supposed to spend it for, and then, which is why I wanted, every 6 months, Maureen will send you a very nice email, please respond promptly, so she doesn't have to chase you, and, if the money doesn't get spent, this
Yeah.
is what your options are, because we can't get it out of the trust, we can't actually give it back,
right,
right? So, it's our responsibility to go back to town
Right.
meeting and be like,
Yeah.
we need to reallocate this, or
Yeah.
just leave it in this small bucket.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, even like the plan, I think it's all very
Yeah.
fluid and moving. I mean, from where this group was back in 2022 compared to where you all are today, you're
Yeah.
experts. You could
Yeah.
go to another town and tell them how to do it, Wayne.
I don't know.
If they want
All right,
signs,
we're
they can
we're-
absolutely do
We're
it.
at time to have our public
Okay,
hearing,
okay,
so,
let's
but,
go.
no, I think it's a good discussion, I would just add and I think it's good to have Tim here and Carolyn here when we're
Yeah,
having the
fine.
conversation, but I think that my understanding of the intent is, what we were hearing from some other towns is just that they sort of just say, here's the money and that's it, and then they don't.
Right, that's-
And that,
that's not-
and I think that I would say from my perspective, and, so we'll have a copy, the whole group is here, is just that there's something in place that discusses, accountability. So whether it's every time or not, or just a reporting factor that comes back so that, it's not like the money went and we never then asked to find out, like,
Right.
an accounting of, what happened, I think that's it. And it's like, so I think that's the, gist. So I think we can leave it at that.
So I'll continue to poke at this.
But I think the goal isn't to make it labor intensive necessarily, but I think it's just be able to keep an eye on it and make sure that, there's an understanding that it's been checked back on. That's the goal.
And Maureen, I found that link. It is the CTC procedures manual. I'm longer than I'm sending it right now. It's a beautiful document.
I've seen it many times. I've gone in, I've looked at them and Lexington, and again, and you have to understand, they've all had CPAs since like, 07 and 08.
And they've had they are very wealthy communities. They have a lot.
Yeah,
of
they have a
money.
lot of money,
So they get to do
and they have
stuff.
big things.
Okay.
But anyways, open up.
7:45, so
Yes.
we're gonna have our public hearing for the 2025 CPA plan, so, do we do the roll call first?
Nope, you read it in.
So the hearing notice, is the Berlin Community Preservation Act Committee shall hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 in room 218, town offices, 23 Linden Street, Berlin, Mass. At 7:45 to vote acceptance of the 2025 Community Preservation Act plan. A copy of the draft plan can be requested at the CPA
Website.
CPA via the CPA email via the town website. Interested citizens may present feedback at the hearing or may send written comments to the Community Preservation Act Committee prior to the hearing via email to cpac@townofberlin.com or U.S. mail to Berlin Community Preservation Act, 23 Linden Street, Berlin, Mass. 01503. Purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties with an opportunity to comment on the 2025 Berlin Community Preservation Act plan drafted by the Community Preservation committee. So,
Roll
so
call. to
now the
open.
roll call. Do we have be a motion?
You just go roll call to open and you just start to go
Roll call
around.
to open, so
Say Ellie.
MJ,
Ellen.
I'm here.
Beth,
I'm also here.
Ellie,
Here,
Wayne, I'm here too.
Okay. Now your
So,
discussion.
Discussion, so.
Yeah,
We all,
great
we all
public.
reviewed the plan.
Yep, they did a lot, it was a lot of work on the meeting, you
Yep,
weren't
and I-
there.
and I read it.
There were many motions to do this for Wayne.
Lovely.
Like, can you straighten that just a little?
It was great. Carolyn did a great job of
Great
finding the
imperson-
things.
She did a
that-
great
she
impersonation.
said, I know what Wayne will fuss
Actually,
about.
MJ was on it too.
Good.
So I didn't put.
Well, Carolyn
It's-
started it, and
it's-
it just seemed
it's
like
like-
such a great
Hey,
manner of.
that minutia, stands out over time.
The one thing is, my name on the front page
I fixed that.
is E-N,
Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. So, well, let's see. Did we?
E-L-E-A-N-O-R.
That was the one that I emailed you about during the meeting.
Yeah. So say it again.
E-L-E-A-N-O-R.
Yep, I got that.
All right.
Yep.
Nothing worse than your name being misspelled.
Yeah, I caught that when we were having our last.
He sent me an email on
And-
that. Yeah.
I figured it was simpler at the time to email than
Yeah.
bring it up.
And that was changed on the one that I sent out on Friday. I think I sent the right one on Friday. Like I said, I couldn't, I was heading out to New York. It was crazy. Not my favorite thing
Any
to
other
do.
comments or questions?
I think we did a good job.
I think it looks
I
really
think it
good
looks
this
really
year.
good. I think, we're learning every year.
Mhm.
I think we learn with each one. I think, we learn as we have projects that are in play, completed, and how we'd like to see them represented.
You know, in
so-
the beginning, it's easy to just dump everything in there, but once you get down the line a little bit, it gets confusing if you have completed and in process and not even started all
Right.
smashed together.
Yeah.
So the notes from the last meeting will, next time, well, at least this is what my notes said, and I'll review it again with you all again. At the beginning, in that introduction, we'll talk about completions and whatnot, so that can kind of be moved out, and then it's gonna give that nice flow for the work that's already been done. When we first started this, we didn't have any work to
Yeah.
kind of
But
brag
we didn't
about.
have that many projects that were ever even funded. so
Correct,
it
yeah, we didn't
matter.
have anything yet, so now that we have that, like you all had said that at the last meeting. And then when I met with Tim on Thursday, probably not necessarily your next plan, but your next one, what a lot of communities will do is they will, actually put in an application for a kind of survey and a specialty company that will get information from the community on what they're looking, and then you can add some graphs and whatnot into your plan. So I'm gonna look at some of, I know some communities that have done that.
Yeah, like
Make sure they got it.
surveys of the community
Yeah.
about what their priorities and what they see.
What they know, what they see,
Okay.
what they'd like to see, because again, it's a plan, so
Yeah.
what they want to see. And then usually they'll help actually, create this.
Well, I
And
think-
that happens like usually every 3 to 5 years in some of the stronger CPA communities.
Do you have any idea, ballpark, of how much this would cost to do this?
Don't know. I'm gonna do some more research on it, some of the applications that I did see go in and
Okay.
see what got approved.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's, surveying is important just to make sure it's representative. I think that's one of the biggest keys when you do it. I mean, you just look at it and look at the cost. I mean, if it's just a mailing, or is it a online survey, or,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, we can consider doing some of that ourselves. There's ways to do it, but, I think it makes sense, I mean, I think once you have, at that point, a number of projects, I think people can look at the project and say, okay, we've been managing it to the best of, what we think the town directives are based on a lot of stuff, but, how are you receiving, because not everybody's at town meeting and stuff like that.
Right.
And I also think, as budgets get tighter and stuff like that, I think there's more scrutiny of what types of projects get funded. And I think, we all take it really seriously as being stewards of this amount of money that, is raised, in addition to the taxes or as part of the tax rate, that, you know, I want to make sure that people feel like, you know, it's being used for good purposes. You know, I think it has been, and it's like, you know, I think we're allowing for things to happen because it's planned and things like that, so it doesn't become victim to sometimes some of the budget stuff that happens, and it allows us to keep the community doing good things for the community. You know what I mean? That make Berlin what it is and represent that. I mean, I think the stuff, you know, the Housing Trust is doing, the stuff the Historical Society is doing, recreation. I think there's a lot of good purposes for those. But I think, you know, I think we all take it really seriously, and I think it's part of the reason I enjoy being part of the committee. We have good discussions about it.
And I think we've gotten smarter about the ways the money can be spent.
Oh yeah, you learn through each one. I mean, you know, and you know, I mean, it really depends on, you know, what options come forward. I mean, there may be years that there isn't a specific one because nobody's being a proponent of it, and I think we've learned a lot this year just with some of the ones. Every year is interesting that each project presents different struggles. I mean, I will just say I'm surprised at the challenges that they're having with the parking lot stuff for
Getting
Horseshoe
a quote,
Ponds, to be
yeah.
able to get those quotes, to be able to, I mean, they've got the whole plan idea of what they want to do and everything else, and it makes sense, and the money's there to do it, and we can't get a quote to get it, you know, in there. And and I think, you know, just looking at, you know, the timelines, I think that for me has become the frustration is, you know, when things get approved and what are the numbers that get put in, and, you know, we still look at, okay, it's been a year. We're about to have another town meeting, and the biggest one from last year, which was the soccer fields, hasn't even really
hasn't started.
happened
Yeah.
yet. And it's, you know, so you worry, you know, that's like, okay, was there enough money to do that? So, I mean, it's, you know, we're learning with every one. So I think that's important. So
Well,
it's good to, and I think we're all good coaches to these people too that are doing these projects. Yes.
One thing I've found concerning is in the course of the discussions on the town budget, some of the suggestions that were made, some of which did not go anywhere, but it involved eliminating things that have connections to things we've approved. Like there was a suggestion about possibly getting rid of the community garden, which seemed, you know, problematic since we just invested a fair amount of money in that, a
Right.
fair amount of money that is far in excess of the annual budget for, and you know, I don't want to, you know, litigate that or
No.
any other particular ones, but and I'm not sure that I have a suggestion or anything based on that, but it's just something I wasn't expecting to come up.
Sure. I think, yeah, and I think those are things that we'll have to think about.
And I
you know.
think it goes back to the CPA Boston's concern that we invest in community projects that then get wiped out.
Yeah, so I think it's, you know, I think those are all things that we learn. I mean, I think we're all getting lessons and things that we think were permanent that are changing very rapidly. So you know,
Yeah.
and in this pressure that's, you know, happening, it's not just Berlin, it's every community in the state and even across the country. You know, I mean, these increases of, you know, what things cost to run, and, you know, we'll be hearing all that stuff. I mean, you know, we're not an island from that, so I think it's important to not look at ourselves as an island from that. So as we're trying to support stuff, and I think as those things get more pressure, you know, we might start to get more requests for things that might, you know, I mean, they can't be things that would normally be a budget item, but there are capital type stuff. I mean, if there wasn't CPA, you know, fixing the town fields would have probably just been maybe a line item or something, or, you know, whatever. It's not the maintenance, but that actual project. So, yeah, and trying to understand, like, okay, what's maintenance, what's this, how do you pull it out? It's like, it's a lot. So I think we've learned a lot. And I think that you know, we're here to talk about the plan, but I think the plan reflects that. I think it's good to talk about where it's going, even as we submit this one. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've learned a lot in 3 years.
Well, I mean, it is a plan, it's not a report, so we do have to talk about how it's going forward.
How it's going forward, and it's going to shift. It'll continue to shift. I think we've all learned too is, you know, with the plans, like, you know, the first is when we have opportunities for properties to be purchased, like, okay, those things they need to move fast. I mean, it's like, or you can lose the opportunity altogether. So how do we, you know, it's great that the Housing Trust is up and running, and that gives some flexibility for those types of things. So it's good. I mean, it's really a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I just did want to, you know, I think I think it is absolutely proper to be concerned.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think I appreciate the broad-mindedness of finance and the select board as they're looking at the budget, right? And we are not there yet, right? But at some point, they're gonna be horrific choices.
Yeah.
You can kind of expect that. And the fact that they aren't setting up with can't touch this, can't touch this, can't touch this, I think puts us in a better place to make the best decisions for the town in the long term,
Yeah,
you know,
It is.
so I just,
yeah, no, it's a tough year for a lot of things, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things being discussed that, and they're looking forward, so it's tough. But I do think that, and hopefully that's part of the consideration that as we're approving things and as they're making decisions, think about the investments that have been made. So I think those are important. Okay, so any other discussion? If not, we'll close the hearing. We don't need to approve it, the plan.
You do,
We
you
do
have to,
need to
you're gonna
approve
close, you're gonna close
Close
the
it.
hearing with roll call.
Oh, and then we're, okay,
you
so
can
I
then-
get it,
Yeah,
Do-
and-
So, we're gonna close the hearing, but
so
yes.
just, so like, this is a draft,
We're about to vote it.
right? And so, like, once we vote it, this, there are margins and, weirdnesses like that. I assume that
Yeah.
doesn't, we're not
You're not voting on that.
We're not,
yeah.
we are voting
We're
on
not
the
voting on
content,
format.
and so
Content,
all of,
yeah.
good, so I don't have to
Yeah.
hand you a list of, no, I can't approve anything until these commas are fixed, or,
No, no, no.
just checking,
No.
just checking what that is.
Okay, okay. No.
Imagine when we were on the town administrator committee, it was a lot of
It's a-
fun.
There's a reason that document is
There's a
really,
reason
really
No,
good.
Beth and I.
But actually, before you got here, we were talking about onboarding into committees, so I actually did start a little onboarding form, and I gave it to Tim when we met on Thursday. Because I want you all to know really what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes you just show up and no one's really saying, well, what am I doing here, kind
No.
of thing,
And these
Yeah.
notes are really helpful,
You know,
because if you don't know
so-
how to run it, it's like,
Yeah.
thank God for you. for
But,
helping.
but at the same time, like, I love people that volunteer, but sometimes they walk in and there's no direction on what they're supposed to be
Be doing,
doing,
yeah.
yeah.
Nope, it's like work, right, Beth?
This is not work, this is fun.
Yeah.
No, but.
It's gotta be fun. It's 8 o'clock at night.
But we know those lessons from
We do.
work.
You guys are a really good group. Like,
So-
you guys know I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I say to Tim all the time, I go, it's an awesome group, because it's not, you don't rubber stamp things, and you have a good it's exactly what I love about town government, so, yay.
So let's
Well,
close.
at least there's something to love
There's lots
about
of
it.
something.
Okay, so let's close the hearing.
Roll call again.
So we'll do a roll call, so MJ,
I'm still here.
Beth.
Present.
Here.
Wayne, here. All right, so the hearing is closed, so now we need to vote for the acceptance of the.
What would have happened if we didn't have a quorum if
let's-
roll call to end the
Let-
hearing, but what if we?
If you didn't have a quorum, we couldn't have
We
the
wouldn't even
vote.
be having
Yeah,
this.
so I'm just kind of confused on the process. What does the roll call mean?
If you didn't have a quorum, we wouldn't have even opened up anything.
Yeah,
But
today.
certain things they need to know that it wasn't just like they want to
Yeah.
make sure everybody
Okay.
had the
And
opportunity
you're
to
actually not
truly
really
approve it.
saying here, what you're saying is yes to closing the hearing.
Okay,
So
so
saying
if-
present isn't really correct there, what you're really supposed to
Okay.
be saying is yes or no.
So,
So MJ,
But if I hadn't been here to say no, would the meeting just go on forever?
Well,
No.
no,
That sounds
no,
harsh.
no.
all right.
But
But,
So
but
we'll-
I'm all in favor of closing the hearing.
Yeah,
All
that's,
right.
yeah, right.
Beth, you in favor of
I am
closing the
also in
hearing?
favor of
Ellie,
closing
you
the
in
hearing.
closing the
Yes,
hearing?
right.
Wayne is in favor of closing the
Okay.
hearing, so
You're
it's the
gonna get us,
correct
keep
vote.
us on task and make
Yeah.
us learn,
All right.
teach
So
us how
now-
to run these meetings
So
eventually.
now we need to vote to accept the plan that we just had the hearing on.
So you just, this is a motion.
So this is a
and second.
motion to accept, do I have a motion to accept the 2025 CPA plan?
I will make,
Or
I will
what's
make a
the name?
motion to accept the 2025 CPA plan.
All right, do I have a
And
second?
second.
Second, all right, and I guess we just can vote as a
No,
group.
There's like no discussion, so then you can just do a vote.
All right,
Just
all
vote
those in
you-
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great.
Excellent.
Is this VP and not
All
doing
right.
too bad? So do we want to, we can vote about publishing, so we all read the Powder House article, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, it's nice to get out there who you all are. I think we got very lucky with the times that we were asked to be in.
Yeah.
So,
good.
this one will be for the May.
Good.
So I'll get it in to, the folks next week if everybody's liked it.
So I like the content. I had a bunch of edits
Okay,
about mostly like, as opposed to saying Community Preservation Act Committee.
yeah, Tim and I talked about that. I can put
You
it
know,
to
and
the
then-
CP, yeah,
Yeah, and
I can do
potentially,
that.
and reordering some of the chunks potentially at the end.
Well, let me pull it up then.
I can
okay?
forward I can forward this. I can send this to everybody. Maybe. Can I do that during a meeting? How does that work?
I don't know.
I can also read it out loud.
I don't have any,
I don't have a hard copy.
device to read it off of.
I have to pull mine out.
I left it in the car.
Yeah, no, let's, I think let me find it so I can, I don't think I had it on my other one. Town newsletter. Cause my question actually to Timothy was, I wasn't sure about the title. So did I send that to title?
Community Preservation Act Committee members and responsibilities.
You fine with that? Or you,
It's really boring. We should just that.
I didn't like it either. I didn't like it either. So I didn't know it was like responsibilities, like however, give me something.
Learn about your Community Preservation Act Committee, or
Okay.
let us, or Community Preservation Act Committee, the best committee you've never heard of.
They heard of it. We did a big event last May.
How about
and it was well attended.
Getting to know-
get to know
know.
your
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Get to
Preservation
know your
Act
Community Preservation
Committee.
Committee. There you go. Nice.
and what
yes.
they do. And what CPA does or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think we need it short, so I think just get to know your Community Preservation Act Committee.
Okay. Done, because I didn't
Can you
like
tell I
that.
do stuff like that?
Previous life, I did stuff like this. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore.
No, well, now there's tools to help you do
I
it
used to
even
work, you guys
faster.
remember the For Dummies books?
Yes.
Yes.
I used to work for them when I lived in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. So what were your edits, Ms. Bass?
So my edits are most so starting.
Do you want to start at the top?
Well,
the
there's
first
nothing,
paragraph?
basically nothing, like, the Community Preservation Act Committee, that's where I put the CPAC. You know, the Community Preservation
So-
Act
oh, so
Committee,
you want
parentheses, CPAC
CPAC.
members are, the list of
Actually,
us,
this needs to be.
and then the next two paragraphs, right, both start with the CPAC
Right.
is. And then I'm
So
just
you
gonna.
want to replace a lot of the Community Preservation
Right.
Act with
Yeah.
CPAC.
Yeah.
You get
And-
that part.
And
Yeah.
Tim wanted to do that too, and that was fine.
You, so,
I still lament that we are a Community Preservation Act Committee, so anything that can have us not say that awkward thing.
right, it doesn't not flow, there's a
CPAC.
lot of Cs and Ts in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then basically hopping down to,
What paragraph?
there are two paragraphs after the list of us,
Yeah.
and then the ones about the funds and
Yes,
what
I think
happens
it's
with the funds.
This one.
Um,
What's the paragraph start with?
let me, it starts with, nope, show
So
complicated
I'm
markup.
looking at the members. Is it before, after?
It's after,
It's
it's
after.
after,
It
it's
says
it's
it's-
way after that.
Okay. It has the money.
Yes, it's the money. Community Preservation Act,
Must first make a
let's see,
recommendation.
meets with applicants, yes, must first make a recommendation, so, cause actually,
Oh,
because
meets with
first,
applicants,
I
got it.
reordered it, because first, we meet with applicant, right, first so my suggestion for that, let me
Okay.
just read it as opposed to explaining what I did. Let's remove my markup so I can actually see what I wrote. In order to distribute funds collected under the Community Preservation Act, the committee accepts proposals in the fall of each year. The CPAC meets with applicants of proposed projects over the winter, then recommends projects for funding to town meeting.
So she because this is talking about recommendations before it explains the process, so that's what
Right.
that's what she's.
So, the only reason why I did that is because that is definitely part of the registration of it, okay? So, I'm fine with taking your thing, but that's the reason, like, the other, cause I would have almost even left that as stand by itself.
Oh, she wants to make it a point before she explains the whole process that it doesn't just get funded, that,
Like what you guys,
That-
that
that-
is what your responsibility
the
is, that
recommendation.
recommendation.
So-
And then
Yes.
after it is explaining how your process of it.
Should we link to the actual,
So I.
like, just, drop a link in the body, or, because it's a paper document, never mind. But if some
Yeah.
people get it emailed.
Yeah, I tend to not like to do that in these kinds of things,
Okay.
because then I get a lot of emails of people that are having problems or phone.
I can see that, I can totally see
And the
that.
thing is, I don't have a phone. If I had a voicemail, because it's usually people that might prefer to leave a voicemail.
Voicemail, right.
So,
But I think also in a document like that, you want it to be spelled out in it.
yeah.
So people understand.
Yeah.
'Cause they're
People,
not
people aren't gonna
always
go to
gonna
the
go
other.
to the
They
link.
aren't gonna go, right.
Yeah.
That was just sort of getting at the idea of if you
Yeah.
think that language is
Yeah.
really important,
I
then we
think,
could
you
do
know,
that.
in certain rooms, that would be.
That would
what
be
you
totally work.
Wouldn't even think about it. They
But
would just.
for a
they-
general audience, I don't think
Right,
that's good.
right, yeah, I agree, yeah.
Um,
So I think just calling out what that, and I can make it not run into, and then the paragraph can start, Beth, would that be, okay with you? Like if we just make that basically what your responsibility is.
The one must first make a recommendation.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about how you guys, what you
You
do.
know what, maybe, do you want, if we leave it with, I don't know how many adjustments, but even if you said to do so, like if you said like the Community Preservation Act committee must first make a recommendation to the town meeting before projects are voted, to do so, the Preservation Act.
That helps, right,
If
making
you said
order
to
of
do,
operations.
to do so,
Okay.
the Community Preservation Act meets with blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. So
you're right, so just making sure the sequence is
Yeah.
clear.
So you're saying like, this is what happens, but in order to get to that point,
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that just helps a little.
Yeah. But I want them to understand, because what
I
I
get your
think, I
point.
think what happens sometimes is that people think you guys are totally like driving it off. And you're really not. You're basically just making sure it legally meets the criteria.
And even
you-
then.
and all you're doing is the recommendations,
Yeah.
and then it can be changed on, and then the town meeting has 4 options on what they wanna do with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the point is that we don't have the final say,
Right,
but
and
we do have a say on what gets to
Yeah.
town meeting.
Right.
So, okay.
and that's why you refer to your plan.
Yeah. And then my next 2 paragraphs were the CPAC is responsible for reporting back to the Commonwealth.
Report,
Um,
oh yeah, because it's not the state, 'cause we are the Commonwealth. Reports to the Commonwealth, the projects.
About the project's funding amounts and funding category approved by the town annually.
It's not
As-
about the projects, it's the projects, because it really is, like you pop in, you don't really,
So
you're
we
not,
report the projects.
you report the
Yeah,
projects.
put the projects, the funding
yeah.
amounts, and the funding category in that grid, approved by the town annually, as well as providing updates on the status of previously funded projects. Yes?
Yeah, I think, you know what, we can, well, here's what I can tell you, what we can do, guys. You give me what you have, Beth.
Okay.
I can put it in, if you guys, if she's read it and you guys think it sounds good. We can then vote for acceptance on the 18th, if we're,
Will that give them enough time to?
I don't have to send this to them until the 29th or something like that.
Okay.
Oh, cool, then I can, so I will
But
send.
I was kinda hoping we weren't gonna have a meeting on the 18th.
There's that, well, potentially.
Are we in line to not have a meeting?
So, when I talked with Tim last Thursday, he was thinking, I can't really see any, we've kind of wrapped it up for the work year, cause your next step would be town meeting, you
Yeah.
know? Cause the way I look at it, the work year really does start after, it ends with town meeting, and then it starts on July, well, it really starts in June with the new appointments, that's how I've arranged the work year for you guys. But if, you know, we're back on Zoom, so it shouldn't, even if it's just a quick meeting to do this. And now that we don't have Carolyn here, maybe we do wanna have one last word from Carolyn on what might be happening with the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like, just to officially
Find out.
say that you, so
Yeah.
you guys will know in advance of town meeting if it's going to be pulled or not,
Yeah.
you know, so
A-
it probably
and, you
does
know,
make,
who-
it probably makes sense
what
to have a
duels
meeting
we'll
on the
have to fight
18th.
on, you know, town meeting floor
Right.
over things, you know.
Yeah, so maybe it makes sense to have a meeting on the 18th.
So,
just-
sorry,
I
I
just-
sent, that was the text of that message, is sorry, but I did just send you my.
Your thoughts.
My thoughts, did you want, the document, I sent it without, I tracked the changes when I made them.
Okay.
What I sent to you, does, I assume if you hit the track.
So when I see it in my email, what I'll do is I'll save it as Beth's copy.
Yeah, it has my initials
So,
on it, so
and
you
then-
know it's
and then-
mine,
and then
you can
I'll
look at
know.
it, yeah.
I just changed where it said state there to Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Yep,
I was
perfect.
playing around with you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then this should introduce everybody, and the other, I think, plus of having it in this particular time is the fact that, it does advertise that the rec is
Rick
vacant.
Van Diesel.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the plan or anyplace else, so, actually, it was in the town report, though, yeah.
Okay.
So that's good, so we will meet on the 18th then. Like I said, I met with Tim on
Is it the
Thursday.
18th or 15th?
I keep saying the 18th, don't I? It's the 15th.
April 15th.
Look at this tax day.
I know. Maybe that's why. I don't know why I keep saying the 18th. The whole last meeting, Ellie, I said the 18th, the 18th,
If
the 18th.
you're not done by then, you're done, so
Yeah.
you're toast. So.
Right. But the good news is, initially when I was thinking it was that Tuesday, I was thinking the 13th was Easter, but it's not. It's the next week. So I was just talking, but yeah.
Okay, so,
So
it
that's
is right
good.
here, it says April 15th.
Oh, I have it right on my
All right.
document, so that's good.
That's
Okay,
good.
so I'm gonna write on this that we're gonna move to next meeting to review. To approve, actually. Okay.
I'm gonna show you something after, before we leave too, just working on that, just using like ChatGPT to help with things like this, if you're looking for variety.
I use it on my cell phone. I haven't used it on my CPA
Oh.
thing.
We can do it just so you can see, you don't have
Yeah.
to do anything with it, but
Yeah,
it's
no.
kinda fun.
No, I've done it,
Cause it's a good tool before you know, if you write what you want, then you're like, oh, I wanna fancy it up, oh my god, it's amazing, it's like.
It does, it
It's like so,
definitely,
it's
you're
just,
like,
it,
oh, that sounds like a grown-up word.
like some of these paragraphs start, the CPA,
Yeah, right.
that will get rid of it, like, it's amazing what it will do, so we
Okay.
can play with it. I
we
mean,
should play with that.
yeah, so but we can do it right before we leave, so that'd be cool.
All right, so I think we
Um,
do need a meeting for the 18th because.
15th.
15th, oh my God. I'll see you guys on the 15th, I promise. Somebody.
We'll be here on the 15th. We don't know you.
Versus me sending it out to you guys. You sent to me, are you coming?
Well, this will be Zoom, right?
Yeah,
It'll be a
right.
Zoom,
right.
so yeah.
No, Tuesdays,
We don't need to
I
get
know.
together just for a photo, so.
And because we're not seeing Tim right now, so we don't have
Yeah, I
the
don't know if he's
information
gonna
on the
make
budget.
it.
So, I mean, we could just call the meeting and
Yeah.
get all of those
So,
updates next time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna just move to next meeting.
And we don't have the money yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. So he was hoping to have that moved to next
He
meeting.
doesn't have the budget, we don't have the budget.
You know what,
Yeah.
he might have seen the town accountant since I've seen him, but I didn't, I don't have any information
He
on it.
hasn't messaged us or anything.
I don't think he
No, I looked for it,
has.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, just in case.
Yeah, so that's fine, so it kinda makes sense, and then seeing Carolyn on the last thing as far as the parking lot.
Yeah, it'd be good to know where they're at, if they
Mhm.
make progress there. So we've done the acceptance, we're gonna skip the budget, we've done the powder house already.
So our funding projects this year might be pretty lean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, we'll have to make a point of saying that when people,
Well, it's not
Point
that
out
the
a
money goes back to the town for
Yeah.
them to spend, it's just,
yeah,
we're
And
not.
I think that's, I mean, you know,
But some years are big and some years are small. I mean,
Right.
was it 2 years ago we had Horseshoe Pond, and that was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it makes,
And
you
then
know,
we had the center of town piece.
right. I mean, I think that's the thing, sometimes there's an ebb and flow, and sometimes you need to build your reserve, because sometimes, you know,
You have a
I
lot
don't
of-
think it should be like, spend everything necessarily, it's,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Well,
I think
because you
that's-
don't know what's gonna come in the
You
future.
don't know what's gonna come.
Well,
It's
That's
just
why
like-
when Tim and I were talking, and I suggested really, investing in a townwide survey on what people, really calling out what the 4 categories are, and what people might really like to see on something like that. And AIR actually does it for like a 5-year period kind of thing. Theirs is done very, very well, and I have a contact over there, so I'm gonna try to find out who they use for that, and it's a really nice book. You wouldn't do it every year, cause there's cost involved, but if
Yeah.
it's a plan, it should give you some sense.
But I think it's, if we were to do that too, I mean, if we are specific in seeing how they survey, but if you survey, asking questions about each of the various areas, not just being general about what do you wanna see, but like, have some education, it might just give more guidance to each of the,
Right.
Historic and
Yeah,
housing.
Well,
In recreation,
potentially-
to say, this is what, and that's a service that you are doing, not just for CPA and
Right.
spending the money. So, if you need to spend the money to do a professional survey with an outside, if we feel we can't do that ourselves, then at least it's coming with the viewpoint that this isn't
Right.
just our survey, this is a survey with our intent to be able to say, hey, if you're looking for projects for CPA, these are the kind of things people are looking toward.
Right.
Well, it's also important to move this outside of the historical, the commission or conservation or.
Well, that's what I mean, it gets
but
feedback
it
from
gets
the
feedback,
community.
you guys, if there's a historic project, but if somebody else identifies it, they can come to you, and so you guys don't have to do all of the work.
And
of
the
that,
the
but
brainstorming
we
of
wanna-
what do you want to do.
We wanna let, because I love that the last little paragraph about, we want you to apply.
Right.
It's not that you have to be on recreation in
Right.
order to.
And if
they have
I
to
find
sponsor it.
somebody, I'll bring them in, for you guys to make the decision. But part of the survey is that they would hopefully go to the other boards and committees in town. Like I always kind of use the cemetery cemetery commission as kind of something that can use CPA funds very easily. They could maybe want to do some work on preserving some headstones. That would come
I know,
under.
I've thought of it, like,
So,
all the time.
because everybody just thinks it's like,
No.
you're like, well, you two are not your select board, but everybody just thinks it's those committees, and it's not.
It's not.
And that, so I think a survey that went out to the town, much bigger than I can handle on my 6 to 7 hours a week. You couldn't do it, and it's not my expertise anyways.
Yeah.
I can do some small ones.
Sure.
But
Right,
even.
but if it's that level of professionalism, but I think it's true, but like, I think, and it's like, the committees, we're all volunteer, they don't
Mhm.
always have the
Right.
support to think about those things, but like, I will honestly say, like, it's so funny you would say that about the cemetery commission, because I always think every time I drive through the center of town, the statue that's in the.
It has the broken
It has the
hand.
broken hand. I'm always like, I would love to have somebody that knows how to, from one of the committees.
Is that his, I've never actually
Yeah.
looked at that statue, who is it?
I don't think it's a statue. I
It's
think
part
it's
of a
just,
gravestone. but
yeah, I
but
think it's just.
Okay, it's not a person, it's just a monument.
It's a
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, it's a body of a person.
Yeah, but
No,
I don't
no,
think
it-
that's
but
not,
it's
it's
not
the
a
same
person.
person.
It's
not a
somebody's
particular
gravesite, or
person.
is it?
Yeah, no, I don't.
It is somebody's gravesite.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
right, but
But it's still historic. I mean, and
But it's not like Paul Revere, like in
Right,
Boston.
right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just-
no,
I was
it's-
like-
But I just think like that, to me, in that cemetery,
That's what I
yeah.
have in my
that's like
head,
such a
right?
nice
Yeah.
Statues and
statue.
that's-
Yeah, no, more like
Yeah,
a
it's the
classical.
oldest cemetery in
motif.
town, and
Yeah.
it's right there in the center.
Yeah, and it's like, I always feel bad, because I'm like, it's a
So,
broken.
so that's what would happen
Anyways,
for a
that
next
is
plan.
an idea.
And not to say that if someone came in, you would necessarily, but at least it can broaden, other than just the 4 linked, like where you guys are all representatives of of them. It's not just linked to your boards and commissions, it's the
Yeah.
town,
Question,
okay?
now, since the Powder House article, since we're not gonna approve it tonight,
Mhm.
Could we have another little paragraph if there's fun stuff that you can see in the database that has been done, other places?
I really want this to be about your membership.
I think
Well,
focus,
right, but
focus.
to get
but we're
Yes,
gonna-
but we
we're
have-
gonna-
That could be
other-
different, that
that
could be a
could be
different
another one
article.
that
That
we-
could
We
be
have
an article.
other articles.
Yeah.
Okay, right, how
That were
often do we get to?
scheduled.
Well, I think, after this one might be have one more, and then they'll start another year kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's been like every other month, and like I
Okay.
said, couldn't have been, if I had asked for
Every
these
other
ones, I
month
was
is
so
pretty good.
happy
But
about, like, it worked out
but
perfect.
maybe that's something we as a committee could do
Yeah.
before the next one, is like, each of us, go do some Google searching of other towns, and look
And
for,
particularly you
and look-
even
and look-
identify
yeah, and look at-
who brought them forward.
Yeah, and
right,
look at
right.
projects that, other
Yeah.
towns have done. Maybe there's something, I mean, like, I know, like, in Westport, things like that, they do cemetery, they clean all the stones,
In Little, that's why I keep saying, because in
What?
Littleton,
All, in the cemetery, like, all the marble,
mhm.
they have a whole crew. It's a group within the town, and there's a natural type chemical called D2, and
Mhm.
they use it to clean the Capitol in Washington. And they go around and they clean and they repair all the headstones.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And you walk around like these, they're like brilliant white when they're done. I mean, it's amazing.
super
And
cool.
it's,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
a-
the
it's-
right product, because Groton
Right.
and Littleton has also
They do
done
that too.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
So that's why I always use that as the example. But I think what happens
great-
is
yeah.
people make these, like, I'll just give you a really crazy example. I met somebody not too long ago in my town. They literally thought it was only to buy land, CPA.
Well, if those are the only projects you bring forward,
I'm
or
like,
they don't know it.
No, I mean, that's not the case. That's not the case.
So that's why these
Yeah.
are good for education.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we'll have plenty to, I don't think this is
Yeah.
going away. I
Okay,
think it's
good,
been
right.
successful. Are you guys getting it at home? Are you getting it on your emails? I
I
don't
get
know.
email.
I haven't
Okay.
seen it. I have to sign up for it.
Okay,
so.
so,
I got one copy once, so I think I need to sign up
Okay.
for it again. I don't know.
That's what they
Okay.
should. Hopefully, they'll
Well,
be doing
we-
that at town meeting.
We
Sign
we
up.
have copies at the general store.
19 Carter has copies.
Yeah.
Library has copies.
and then there's usually one down in the lobby down here too, if it's not already gone.
People don't always know, and then they forget. They should have like a sign-up sheet at town meeting. Right on if you want to go. They don't want to hear what I have to say.
I
Okay.
have not
Where's
heard
that?
if there's usually this meeting might be the next meeting, if there's a coffee. Does anybody know
Oh,
that?
there is on the 17th
Okay, so
April?
I did know, I think in the
let me get
previous years, we had somebody,
Yes, so April 17th.
take a,
coffee talk thing.
take a coffee talk.
Tim, maybe.
What time, you said the 17th?
It's the 7th from 6:30 to 8:30.
That's a bummer.
227.
Oh, no, wait, 17th, right, because we're meeting on
This-
15th, that's
Right,
good.
the 17th. I will be there already for housing trust things
Okay,
um,
so
and for
yep,
elections things.
Yep, so I have always done kind of like a little cheat sheet.
Mhm.
And I can probably get that done for the next meeting
Oh,
for
'cause
everybody
in
to
case
look
there's
at.
Any questions for the
Yeah,
the
because you've
articles.
done it before.
Yeah.
Wayne went. I think
yeah,
Tim, I think you did it the first year. I think Tim
So
might
you
have
should totally do it again.
done it last
Come
year.
and hang out with me. It'll be great.
So coffee talk.
Be good to know what's going on.
And this
I
will
hear
be-
what the budget from close.
Yeah, so you said that's the 17th,
Mhm.
Beth? Okay.
Yep.
That's good, because then
We
we'll
can
know from
update it on
Carolyn
15.
what's happening with the,
Yeah, if they're gonna pull it. 'cause
with
that's-
if you guys are gonna
That'll
pull
actually
out.
be a really nice piece of information to have.
Correct.
That's going forward.
Yeah, so we'll be
Okay.
meeting on the 15th.
You got it right this time.
Yay!
Maybe before I was really trying to put it out there that wasn't happening. I don't know.
So-
But Easter's not the week I thought it was anyway. So
So-
it's all working out. It's all working out.
So if we're all done, it's like, do you have a motion to adjourn? There's no discussion, as Tim says, no going back. So do you have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Excellent. And the next one will be Zoom.